Howdy, Taitopia, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to review your landing page. So the original post was dropped on Indie Hackers. Please roast my first SaaS landing page, and it was posted by Hannah. She also commented in another thread that I had dropped, so I just wanted to get back to her and give some feedback. I went through the Taitopia website. I'm assuming that I'm pronouncing it right. Topia Thai. It's an okay name, I think. And you were asking about that. Maybe a lot. Taitopia. So 4 syllables. That's a bit too much, maybe. But it works. If you don't have anything else, maybe I would stick with that for now. I'm looking at the logo when I land on here, and I'm not exactly certain what it represents, if anything. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it just makes me think a little bit. So I went through and I wrote up a number of general notes and also specific notes on the outline of your landing page, and also what should be on a landing page, if at all possible. So I'll step through all of those as we go. I've written it all down, and I will send you the notes as well as this video. So first I'm going to hit on some big general comments, maybe the biggest ones. I probably thought more about this in general than I did as far as your sections. My take on the initial web design is that it looks really good. So like, this looks professional, it's clean, it's simple going through it and looking at the images and the text, and the coloring, and I think the design choices that were made fit really well with this type of product and people that work in 3D and those types of software products. So I think you're spot on for the look and the feel. All right, the big questions that I had, and there were several. When I come here and I'm reading through everything, once I read it all, like, I kind of started putting together the pieces for what Taitopia is and is offering and is to be used for, but it's still not 100% clear to me. I'm not exactly in this industry, but I do know a little bit about 3D and models and textures and materials and rendering. I've done a very little bit, but when I was going through it, I had a number of questions. One, is it for creating 3D models? Or so am I going to be in the Taitopia tool and I can create my 3D models here, or do I have to upload them? So 2, is it for materials and lighting and that sort of aspect of 3D modeling and rendering? Or is it only for rendering and using cloud resources to do so? So to break down a little bit more on the model, where does my model come from? Do I bring my own model that I created somewhere else? Do I only use sample models from the library? It talks about 1,000 or 2,000 library models. Or does Taitopia offer a service to create a model for my unique product? So if I'm selling a screwdriver of some sort, like some sort of super slick fancy screwdriver, do I need to already have created that model myself before bringing it to Taitopia? Or can I pay Taitopia to create that model for me? So that leads to the third big question: why do I need to use Taitopia? And this is what needs to be answered. How does Taitopia make my 3D work better? At this point, my take is that Taitopia is, as far as the workflow goes, I'm a 3D designer. I use Taitopia by uploading my model This is where I don't know, like, am I just uploading the raw model and then I'm putting the materials and all on it in Taitopia because I need to use Taitopia for that, and then sending it off for render? Or do I bring in a fully designed and material, like, model with material and everything and surfaces and whatever, and then I'm sending it off for render through Taitopia? That's what I'm not certain of. So how does Taitopia make my 3D work better? How does Taitopia integrate with my current workflow? And what measurable metrics can be shown comparing my current workflow versus using Taitopia? So examples for that might be by using Taitopia, you get a 10x render speed than what you're used to. Or maybe, and then I think you could even break it down into like really technical, if that's what people understand as well. So you could be like, we're rendering 10,000 polys at this size with this, and if you did that on your own local machine, it would take 2 hours. If you did it using this other service, it would take 1.5 hours, and if you use Taitopia, it takes 45 minutes. So some sort of breakdown like that in comparison game. I did see something about 1.5 billion rays per second. I don't know what that means. Maybe 3D modelers do. So be specific on that. Like, Taitopia has 1.5 billion rays per second versus you rendering on your own computer for 500 million rays per second, or rendering, on some other cloud service, that sort of thing. So you're gonna really win by playing the comparison game and stacking up your the best stats that you provide versus these other methods that somebody is currently using. One section that needs to be put in here, and I think would help clarify a lot of the questions that I just asked, is like a how this works and a 3-step process, something like that. So if it works kind of like I think it does, it would be like step 1, upload your 3D model. Step 2, stage your model. And then so I'm considering that, like, moving it to positions and getting it ready for render. And step 3, send to the cloud for render. So just like making like 3 different blocks right next to each other, and it's like, here's a picture of a model, but it's gray with like the wireframey look on it, and so you're uploading that. And then this one's like staging it at the right angle with lighting and stuff, and then the third one is sending it off to the cloud and getting that result back. Showing results from what Taitopia could render versus like the competitor could also be really good. And that's probably faked a little bit, but you could have like the same image that's rendered on both, but you do like a super zoom on it, and so you can kind of see the level of fidelity and detail that Taitopia provides. Final note, community and social. So I looked at Instagram and jumped into the Discord. I would just say start posting on Instagram now as you are still growing this, even if it's just posting simple renders of product, like really good renders. Just go ahead and start doing that and automate it if you can. The other is start adding some structure to the Discord. All right, let's start talking about specifics. So the hero section is what you see, or a visitor sees, when they first land on the page. We call it a hero. We also sometimes call it above the fold. And so you have 5 main elements. You have your headline, you have your subtext, this is your headline, your subtext, you have the visual, you have social proof, and you have your CTA. So the headline, blazing fast, photorealistic product visualization in your browser. Okay, so blazing fast, that's important. Photorealistic, maybe not as important, I'm not certain, but probably not as important. It might be redundant when you're talking about product rendering or product visualization in your browser. That's a key feature, a key point. An easy to use online 3D rendering tool for superb product visuals. All right. So thinking about it, I wanted to come up with like some better headlines that are shorter and a little bit punchier. And so I'm gonna try to write down a couple of ideas on that. But like, I think it comes down to kind of like those questions that I asked, like, what are you selling to the end user? Is it about your 3D, your tooling that they're going to use in the browser, or is it about what they get from your renderer? So is it about the cloud rendering capabilities, or is it something else? So even if it was, if it was about the cloud rendering, then maybe the headline would be like blazing fast 3D cloud rendering at a fraction of the cost, or at something else. Maybe you throw in an actual metric right there. Subtitle or subtext, an easy to use online 3D rendering tool for superb product visuals. All right, so I think this one's pretty good. This is where I think it helps after I've like worked on a lot of these landing pages to put in the name right here. Taitopia is an easy to use online 3D rendering tool for creating superior product visuals. Not great, but I think better. Visual image. If so, there's two styles of heroes really. There's one where you have the text and CTA buttons on the left and an image on the right, and then there's the one where you have your content on top and then an image below. If you're doing the top and bottom version, make all of this stuff centered. So it should be centered. The image is centered, so it's all aligned properly. It might be like this might be something to A/B test when you get to that point, but which way works better? If you have text and CTA on top and image down below, or text and CTA on left and image on right. That could be something to test when you're ready. So yeah, center all of this if it's going to be on top of the image. Also, bump this down to a line below get early access. I'm jumping the gun a little bit because I'm talking about visual. So here's your visual. If you're going to have a visual set up like this, make it bigger, make it wider really. Not necessarily taller, but wider. Like, so if your text is this long, which you actually want to pull it in a little bit so that it's probably like here to here, that wide. You want your image to be basically as wide as your columns go. So make your image as wide as the columns, and your text pulled in just a little bit. Let me grab, let's see, here we go. This is a landing page that I worked on recently. I'll show you what I mean. So here I'm doing the text and CTA on top, image right below, but you can see that, let's see if I can turn on my grids. There we go. So the image is full width of my grid, and then the text and whatnot is not. So image is 12 columns and text and all is 10. And then the image is wider, and I don't want to show the whole, like I don't want to make it super tall, so I clipped it off as well. So you could go for something just like that with your product image. All right, so that's image. Social proof. If you have social proof that you can add here in this top section, then that's awesome. Like a star rating or a single quote, testimonial, something like that. If you don't have it yet, that's fine. You're going to start working on your testimonials. And then finally, the CTA. So you got that going on here, and that's correct. You're keeping your CTAs saying exactly the same thing. I think that's perfect. Sometimes I don't know if this is really just like I don't know why, but this is like an intuition that I have not been able to measure or get any valid metric to tell me that this is right. When I have my CTA here, I like to have the text and the arrow, but when I have the CTA up top, I don't want to put an arrow on it, and I just want the text. I don't know why, but something about that feels right to me. This was where I was also saying, drop the free for personal use below get early access. So I like get early access. That's good. Free for personal use. I think that works because you're taking away that objection of how much, am I going to have to pay, or how much is it going to cost, or do I have to put in a credit card to use it? Now, one thing to note is you're not necessarily getting early access right now. So the other option that I could see working maybe even better than get early access, because right now I'm thinking, oh, I can get in, but I can't yet, is get in early or get on the wait list, like something along those lines, because that's what I'm doing here. So get early access, I already did the little form, thank you for your interest in Taitopia, you've been added to the wait list, and then we will send you an invitation. Alright, there's a join Discord button. What I would say about that, now that I'm looking here, is put a line blocker or a different color or something that says, in the meantime, join our community and get to talk to people just like you, and say join Discord. And this button may not be working, I don't know. Okay, it does. Join Discord is your secondary, because that if you can get people in Discord, people that use Discord for the first point, then that's really great. You have good access to those people. Alright, so that's everything above the fold. Now let's take a look at below the fold, which is anything that you can't initially see. There's kind of a formula for what you want to show below the fold and how to lay it out and order it. It's not always like 100% truth of do this, but certain things do help. Let me step over back to this one. So this one I set up basically using the formula. So after you're above the fold and your pitch and your image, then you go into, if available, you go into a logo bank. So you show a list of logos, and there's two types of logo farms or banks that you can have. One, client logos, so customers, businesses that use your product. So if you start getting like really good 3D graphic agencies that are using Taitopia, then you put their logo here. If you don't have that type of logos available, then you use press logos. So there's an article written up in the New York Times about us. There's an article published on somewhere else, or in a newsletter, those types of logos. If you don't have any of those, don't worry about it right now. After that, you put in 3 to 4 testimonials from people that use your product and have a really good quote. And you want the quote to speak to the specifics of what your product is offering. This product had very few testimonials, and so this is basically all we could get, but the actual text could be a lot more powerful. And so as you're getting Taitopia up and running and you're getting new people onboarded, testimonials are absolutely a must. Make that a core focus as you go. So after testimonials, what I don't have here is product demo. So that could be like your first real section with meat on it. And so a product demo could be a number of things. It could be a video, like an explainer video. So maybe you have a 1-minute video that's set out here that people can watch about the product. 2, it could be a moving graphic. I think that always works really well. Like for instance, it might be a video still, but not one where somebody's talking, but it might be a video of this is what I wrote down. A short video of the product interface, like in the browser. A 3D model is in the center. So you have something, a hammer, an apple, a camera. In the recording, rotate the object, ding, 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 change the material. So you have an apple, and now it looks like an apple, boom, you press a button, now it looks like bricks, or boom, now it looks like concrete. And then rotate it back to the original position, and so that the clip loops perfectly. So that's another way you could have like a demonstration of the product. And then of course the ultimate is a true product demo. So if the product is live and it's available to use, you put the site visitor into a sandbox where they're actually using the real product. You give them a single object or multiple objects to choose from, and they can move stuff around, light it, add textures, and then click that button to send it to render and get a good test of using the product. After product demo, features and objections. So this is where you're going to get into the specifics and the features. I like a lot of what you're already saying. Like, this is all good stuff. One thing I would note is I would probably take all the text and cut it by 50%. So unparalleled rendering speed, cut this down to 2 lines. And if you're talking about like rendering speed and 1.5 billion rays, I want to see some more of those big metrics, like 2x faster than Google AWS, I don't know, a competitor or something like that. Free for personal use. Growing asset library. Something that could be really cool here, growing asset library. I could see it being like kind of set up more like this, where it's centered, and then you have like a long image carousel with all of these little bitty images just scrolling by of all these different models that are available in the asset library across all industries. So features and objections, do work on that. And how you're presenting that. Use cases. So I think that's kind of what this speaks to here. I would make the section a lot shorter. You basically want to be able to see all the use cases in one viewport screen on desktop. So use cases, you have a touch on that here. So you have electronics, sports, accessories, automotive, and there's 2 types of use cases. There's one for like industry, I think is kind of what you're going for, or category, and then there's like the person. So what you want is a simple listing of use cases that can be scanned really fast. So it might just be bullet points of like in electronics, sports, accessories, automotive, something else. And then you'll have like a listing of the type of person that uses it. So like 3D modelers, whatever else, I don't know, UI designers, animators, that sort of thing. Because what you want is your visitor to be scrolling through, they see use cases, and they identify with one of those. Oh, I'm an animator. Oh, I'm a 3D modeler. That sort of thing. So you want them to see themselves as a user of your product. After use cases, when you have them, you want to put testimonials, and you want to put a bunch of them. So I kind of recommend 12 testimonials, 12 or plus would be set in here. Key features, move that up above the use cases that we were just looking at and build it out more. FAQs. After more social proof with a block of mini testimonials. Let's pop open this one again. Did I put that in here? No, I didn't, because we didn't have any more. Key features. This could be something like what you do for key features to boost what you already have. Like this is a lot of text, and so I might skim over the big white text, but I'm definitely not reading the small text. So this small text either needs to go away or be rewritten to be a single line, like no more than this many letters, maybe that many. And an illustration of some sort always helps. So that's kind of what I did here, was like some of the feature-rich text and content that is allowed. So headings, images, markdown, references, tables, latex equations, and so just, and you know what? I didn't even make this kind of thing up. I stole this exactly from directly from Notion and one of their web pages. Let's move on to FAQs. So you need to put in FAQs on your landing page and address those initial concerns and objections that a visitor would have. My rule of thumb is have a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 12 FAQs on your landing page. If you have more than 12, that's good, and that's actually great. Also have a dedicated FAQ page where you have all of them. And there's good reasons to do that on the landing page and on an FAQ page. If you mark it up correctly in the code, then Google reads the schema a certain way, and if you're answering like a really good question that's relevant, it can show up in Google search results, which is like, you know, when you search on Google and it gives you all those items, and sometimes it has an image or it has a link or it has a list of questions and answers. So you could work on getting rankings based on those FAQs. After FAQ, you need a pricing section. And you need a pricing section here as well. Even though you're pre-release, you need to give them some idea and of what pricing looks like. And Taitopia is unique right now in that it's offering free for personal use, and I'm assuming paid for professional. So you always want multiple price tiers as well, because that gives you the best, takes away the pricing objection that some people will find. Like, what if I only use this a little bit, like once per month, or very little, or what if I use this 5 times a month, or what if I use this every day nonstop and I'm just churning on Taitopia servers? Well, price based on usage if possible. So you might have one, and what I'm seeing a lot with like these AI tools like Midjourney and ChatGPT and stuff, it's based on usage. So like you have a certain amount of rendering hours per month. So you can fit that price tag to the amount of usage that a single person uses. If you only have 2 and it's personal for free and professional, list that. Personal uses. These are what you can do. Check. Free. Professional usage. These are what you can do and more. Price. So is it a flat price or is it a dynamic price? All right. So once you get the pricing down, you make it to your second CTA, your big CTA, and that should exactly reflect what you wrote at the very top up here. One thing that I do like to do, which I keep talking about, is I like to, right now, whenever I'm scrolling through here and I get to this point, your second CTA blends in a lot with the footer. And so it's not as much of a pop, here's what we want you to do again. What I like to do is something that looks like this. So I'm coming down, these all sections are very clean and white, and then boom, here's my second CTA. It's boxed, it's blocked out in a bright color or a dark color or a light color, depending on your color scheme. I'm restating my CTA and content from the top, but in a different way. And I still have that same CTA that I'm using throughout with an image as well. I think that's a really good way to pitch your CTA again. And so another addition, if you want to, I encourage you to have some sort of about me or about the team, because people want to know that there are real humans behind this product, It's not a scam. There's accountability, and that they are available for contact. So people don't want to drop money on a product if they aren't confident in the people behind the product. So by even just like listing the founder and a note from the founder, like that's one way you could do it. Or if you're a solopreneur, a note about why you started your product and your headshot. People like to see headshots. That goes for this section: team, founder, and also the testimonials, because it means humans are involved. Real humans have used this product and are behind this project. So it might be directed from the founder, or it might be a listing of a couple of team members. If you have a large team, then you have a dedicated team page. But that's an absolute must, is to put the human behind the product. I hope you found that useful. I'm going to send you this video. I'm going to send you the notes. I would be happy to discuss further if you have any questions, or take a look at any changes that you do make. I think this looks really good. If you can address some of those questions that I personally had, I think you're gonna 10x this page instantly. I would also be interested. I'm always interested. How are you driving traffic to this page right now? If you are driving any traffic, and then what does the conversion rate look like right now? So if you're having 100 visitors per day, how many of them click that get early access button and put in their email? Is it 5? Is it 2? It's probably on that level, which is pretty typical, below 10% conversions. And then if you implement some of these changes, what does that change to? Anyway, great job so far. I love what it looks like. Great job so far. I love what I'm seeing, and good luck.